Hello, It Fights back here. I'm going to go over a lot in this video. I could probably break each topic into its own video, but I want to get this all out there, so I threw it all into one. As far as League Start is concerned, many will say that you have to go as fast as possible to get the most rewards. This is true if your sole intention is to push into higher tier maps and sell your lower maps, but there are so many avenues that provide a large amount of value that may fly under the radar. I'm hoping to shed some light on that here. I'm going to go over early Atlas progression strategies step by step to demonstrate how to get a strong foothold on your Atlas. I'm going to touch on rares you should be picking up early on to sell. I will walk through early delve progression, demonstrating how to get the most out of delving early in a league. I will put together an ideal syndicate board aimed at early league rewards. I will go over how to use Bestiary orbs and show how to identify red beasts that may be valuable. I will go over the prophecy mechanic and how to identify valuable prophecies. Lastly, I will give some pointers at identifying item value, and wrap this up giving my approach to the Synthesis League early on in the league. I would like to note that the value held in many of the avenues I will discuss will be just as prevalent on day 1 as they are throughout the entirety of the league. I will try to put timestamps in the description or comments below. I will start with Atlas progression. Hope you enjoy. Once you reach the end game and start running maps, you'll start in the 4 corners with your tier 1 maps. Now, it's important to keep a close eye on your Atlas itself. Once you run each of these maps, they have tier 2 maps that can drop out of them. This one has the pin, Arid Lake and Iceberg over here. Here's a dungeon, and down here you can get the armory and thicket. I have not run this channel map yet, because you want to pay attention to what's on your Atlas. Down here, if I run this map, I can get the Xena mission in that map. It's also important to note that my shaped tier 2 map is this dungeon here. So I've ran a few tier 1 maps, and these are the tier 2 maps that I have. I currently do not have a pin map. So in order to get the pin map, I would have to continually run Ramparts maps until I get the pin map to drop. That's the only place that it can drop from at this point. However, if you utilize the tools that the game gives you, you might be able to get it. If the Xena mission gives me an option to run a pin map there, I can run the pin map, kill the boss, and complete it through the Xena mission. Alternatively, since I have one of the other tier 2s already, I don't have to worry about messing up my drops. I can run this dungeon, and by killing the boss, Xena will give me the option to pick any tier 2 map. And in that case, I can choose the pin map. It's also a possibility that if you go to Xena and go to purchase items, you can see if Xena has a pin map there. Xena does not have a pin map, so I'm going to run this channel map and see if I can get the pin map from completing this Xena mission here. So here's my Xena mission. Here I have a thicket map, a ramparts channel, these are both tier 1s, and 2 dungeon maps. So if I ran a dungeon map here, in this case, and completed it, I would complete this map on my Atlas. However, since it's from the Xena mission, it would not give me the completion of the shaped map. So in this case, I will run the thicket map and complete the thicket here and save the dungeon that I can run later. You don't want to run your shaped maps that you need to complete through Xena, or else it will not complete them. You'll have to run another one. Okay, now I've completed the thicket map and the channel map. Thicket map came from the Xena mission. I still do not have the pin map. You can see my delve map moved over to the iceberg. Every time you complete a map, there will be a 40% chance that a master mission will spawn on your Atlas, or one that already exists will move. 40% chance. So my Xena mission has been completed, so there is no Xena mission. Delve 1 moved. Still do not have a pin map. Now I do have the thicket map completed, however. So now if I want to go run the Ramparts map and a tier 2 map drops, there is now a 50% chance that it can be a thicket map. Whereas before running the thicket map from the Xena mission and the channel map, the only tier 2 map that could drop while running a Ramparts map would be the pin map. However, since we were paying attention, we know we can run the dungeon map, and once we complete it, Xena will give us our choice of map, and then we can complete the pin map from that. Now I've completed the dungeon map, and now Xena has an exclamation point over her head. So I talk to Xena. Now she gives me an option to select any tier 2 map. And I need the pin, so now we take the pin map. And actually, since we did run a Xena mission, it's always possible that her stock changes, which it did, and now I have Cage and Fungal Hollow in here. So now I have all of the tier 2 maps, so I can run and complete them all. And we want to look and see where did the Shaper blob go. And now that is on the Peninsula map. So my next step would be to run and complete all of my tier 2 maps. So that's what I'm going to do now. Now I've ran all of my tier 2 maps and completed them. So now I'm up to 10 maps complete out of the 159 for a map bonus. So now this means every time that a map drops, there is now a 10% chance that it'll drop one tier higher. This increases as you go up, so it makes it easier, in theory, to get higher tier maps. So next, we deal with the tier 3 maps. The shape map is here on the peninsula. I don't see Xena anywhere. There's an Alva here, and Einhar here. And I'm going to want to be looking for beasts, as I'll explain later in this video, as to why. So I want to keep an eye on that map. Running Alva maps is really just for increased drop chances early on. So let's look at the tier 3 maps that I have. I have all of them except Peninsula and a Shipyard map. Peninsula and Shipyard are both connected to the dungeon map. So if I want to get those, I'm going to have to run dungeon maps so that I can get one of them to drop. If I get a Peninsula, then I can run Peninsula map and get a Shipyard map from Xena upon completing the tier 3 Shaper influenced map. Or, since I have 6 dungeon maps, we can do something else. We can trade 3 maps here. That'll give me a Shipyard map. I need the Peninsula map. Let's take one of these out and put a different one in. Oh, there we go. That'll give me a Peninsula map. That's exactly what I needed. I'll put these ones back, and now I can run the Peninsula map. And if you're capable, well, that's not good. If you're capable early on of alching your maps rather than just transmuting them, you only need to run a magic map to complete all your white maps on the Atlas. If you're capable of alching them, I recommend doing it because it'll give you much higher item quantity, pack size, and everything from the map. So you'll get a lot more out of the maps and you'll still complete it. It doesn't need to be a magic map. By alching it and making a rare map, you'll get a lot more out of it. So now I'm going to run the Peninsula map. Alright, so I've finished my Peninsula map, and now the Shaper influence has moved up to the Courtyard tier 4 map. Now, I can talk to Xena, and we needed the Shipyard map. That is the last tier 3 map that I need. So now I can run each of these and complete them on the Atlas and start trying to build up the tier 4 maps. Now I've finished all my tier 3 maps. You can tell if they're complete on the Atlas by this white line that shows up beneath them. And now I'm on to tier 4 maps. I'm still missing 4 of them. My courtyard has my shaper influence, and now I'm going to break it. At this point, you can probably get away with it. And seeing as how on this character, I had written it on solo self-found beforehand and actually did all of my white maps all the way up to completing all of them. So I actually have all these maps to begin with. And I'll show you why once I've done this. Now I've ran my courtyard map, completed the shaper influence that was on it, allowing me to get another tier 4 map. I chose to get a Barrows. In that courtyard map, I found a Xena. I ran a tier 5 underground sea map and completed that as well. So now, at this point, if I were to run any tier 4 map that's left, trying to get a tier 5 map, say that I was trying to run a Barrows to get a Vol Pyramid, 50% of the time that a map would drop in this Barrows map that is a tier 5, there's 50% chance that it's an underground sea instead of a Vol Pyramid. So in some ways, you could say, well, I just messed up my atlas. And there's no easy way to fix it. So if next I was to run a gardens map, which is what I'm going to do, if I were to run this Barrows map, there's only a 33% chance that when a tier 5 map drops, it'll be a Vol Pyramid. There's a 33% chance it would be a gardens, and 33% chance it'll be underground sea. Alright, now I've finished the gardens map. That was the last tier 5 shaper map at the beginning. So now the shaper influence moves over to this tier 6 volcano map. I have 1 tier 4 map completed and 2 tier 5 maps completed. Now, completing this tier 5 shaped map now gives me these Xena mods: Fortune Favors the Brave, alternate of same tier, tier 1 through 10, and shaped, tier 1 through 5. Now, if I were to go back here and let's pick this lighthouse map. And it doesn't matter what mods are on it, because they get rerolled when you do this. You put it in here, and you can pay 1 Chaos Orb to roll that into any other tier 4 map. So that is a way that I could get the other tier 4 maps that I do not have. The beach map, marshes map, and crater map. I don't need to spend any more time in tier 3 maps trying to grind for those maps, since I've completed the tier 5 shaper influence map. I know that eventually I will get these maps. Putting this in here, alternate or same tier, costs 1 chaos, not too bad. And there we go, a marshes map. That is a map I did not have. So now I can complete that, provided that it doesn't have elemental reflect on it. When you do these, you have to check the map mods, because it can definitely roll mods you can't do. And now I can complete this map. Now I've ran the marshes map that I didn't have, and I just completed on my atlas. And from here on out, you can carve your way up the atlas all the way up to tier 10 maps and re-roll another of the same tier from the maps you have in order to slowly complete your atlas that way. Or you can also buy maps from other people. Now that's going to do it for the atlas progression part of this. There is another thing I need to do though. I noted that I was alching my maps. When I ran this gardens map, it had Alva in it. And if you have a build that can complete the incursions in the maps, the rewards can be insane. In that map alone, I dropped 5 uniques thanks to incursions, because I was running a rare map. So at this point, I want to go over the drops that I got from all the maps that I've ran for this portion of this video. So at the start of a league, you without a doubt want to be picking up rare items. It seems sort of a taboo thing to do in Path of Exile these days, but picking up rare items can generate so much currency early in a league. Very early on the league, I have my loot filter set up that I see every rare item that drops. I have the sizes of the text shown differently to point out items that I actually want to pick up. I didn't pick up any two-handed swords, bows really, or maces, didn't pick up any quivers, didn't pick up any staves. What's really important to pick up are boots, gloves, helmets, jewelry, and belts. Those are items that every character in Path of Exile generally is going to want something on. Whether or not they are able to get it themselves, you never know. Most Path of Exile characters are aiming towards some kind of unique chest piece, although you can still get a rare chest piece. Now, since this league is probably going to be catered towards a caster meta, I'm also strongly looking to pick up wands, scepters, and shields. So you can see all the shields in here, scepters. I got some daggers even. So now I'm going to go through this tab, identify everything, vendor everything that's garbage, and then we'll look at what's left over and you'll see why I pick up all these items. Alright, now let's look at what we got. We'll start with the uniques. Bunch of stuff here I don't think anybody would want. I might throw it in a tab, see if somebody does. These boots here, somebody might want early on in the league. Definitely the Wanderlust, those are really nice starting out. I got a unique ring, that'll be a couple chaos starting the league, and I got a 6-socket quill ring. Yes, it dropped like that. So that would be some currency early on in the league, right there. Not too much from the uniques. Now let's look at the rares here. I got a 5-link Savant's robe, probably not worth much of anything. Let's look at the rares here. Shield, life, and some resists. It has 2 open prefixes. Maybe something there. Couple chaos. Shaped gloves here on murder mid space. Only item level 73, but somebody might want to try and get an additional trap with these gloves. Boots here. 25% movement speed, 2 resists, and intelligence. 2 open prefixes, so you can craft life on these boots and sell them. I would show you that, but since my character migrated from Betrayal League to Standard League, I lost all my crafting bench. Gloves here, 60 mana, 2 resists, open prefix, you can craft life on this. It is worth a little more, I would say, because of the mana. Lots of people like to go mind over matter early on the league. So, couple chaos there. Belt here has 2 resists. You can craft life on it. Couple chaos maybe. 25% movement speed boots. Lightning res. Open prefix. You can craft life on that and probably sell it. These boots, only 15% movement speed, 2 resists. You can craft life on it and try and sell it. Boots with life, dexterity, 2 resists that are decent. You can craft movement speed on these and try and sell it. These boots are energy shield boots, 15% movement speed, 2 resists. Probably not going to sell, but you can throw it in a tab anyways. These boots have an open suffix, so you can craft another resist on these. 30% movement speed, not much life, but 30% movement speed is very nice, especially early on in the league. These boots have a decent amount of life and intelligence, not the greatest resistances. Open prefix, you can craft movement speed on these and try and sell them. These boots have really high life. Has 2 resistances. There are no open prefixes on this, so you cannot craft movement speed. It might sell as is though for somebody who is super leap slamming or shield charging around, doesn't need the movement speed. Spell damage and critical strike multiplier on an amulet. That's worth a little bit there, especially early in the league. Prefixes opens, you can craft life on that as well. Cold damage, critical strike multiplier, prefix and suffix, you can craft resists life, whatever you want on that. Amulet with 40 intelligence on top of the implicit with intelligence. 45 resist plus 38. Open prefix, you can craft life on this. This is worth quite a bit early on in the league. These gloves here have high dex and high intelligence, high life, high mana. Open suffix for resist. Those are probably a decent amount of chaos. Minimum 15 early on in the league. Shield has energy shield, cast speed, cold res, open prefixes. You can craft percent ES, make the ES higher on this. That'll sell. Life and movement speed with strength. That'll make the boost the life value another 15. So it's got like 95 life on it roughly. With some movement speed, open suffix, you can craft resist. That'll sell. 114 life chest with some cold res, mana, open suffix, you can craft another resist. That might sell. Life and mana and resist on a ring. Open prefix and suffix, you can craft another resist on this and it'll probably sell. Now, is any of this stuff good by any means? No. The only thing in here that's really good, I would say, is these gloves with the dex and intelligence. This amulet with the spell damage and crit multiplier. Beyond that, there's nothing great out of any of this. This is pretty nice. And I also like this shield. Everything else, if you got the space, okay, make this public. Buy out. 3 chaos. All of that stuff. After you crafted it, of course, because you would have gotten the crafting recipes along the way. Some of the stuff might definitely be worth more, especially after you crafted it and looked at it a little bit harder. And then you forget that it exists until somebody whispers to you they want to buy it. And you'll make a lot of money from that. Beyond that, you'll use your alterations to replenish your wisdom scrolls, and you will slowly gain alterations throughout that process as well. Now, I will probably pick up that much stuff through my maps for the first 2 weeks of the league. After that, once I'm getting into the higher maps, I will switch my loot filter to only show the high base types, so I'm not picking up any kind of boots, gloves, helmets, and whatnot. I'm only picking up the highest tier of each base type. Evasion, ES. I'm only picking up the best ones of each of those bases. But I will continue to pick up rares for a month and a half into the league before I'll stop and only be picking up jewelry at that point. And I make a lot of currency just from selling rare items that I pick up. And it also builds me a large stock of alterations, which is very useful for crafting stuff. With the crafting bench, you can also upgrade them into jeweler's orbs and into fusings further if you need them. Having this nice hefty stock of alterations is very, very nice. Early on in the league, it's kind of difficult to price check things. Probably really what I would do personally, rather than just dump this on the 3 chaos tab, I would probably name this tab offer, make it public, each item priced individually, and just leave it like that. And if somebody wants something, they'll message me about it. But beyond that, that's what I do. I we'll just map. If I find anything that'll benefit my character, I'll probably use it. I'm not going out of my way to purchase anything for my character unless I hit a wall where I can't actually progress. I did solo self-found, and this is the gear that I was able to find just from picking up rares as I went through clearing white maps. It's not terrible. Not the greatest ever, but it's enough to make my character pretty solid just from items that dropped with some crafting on top. There's nothing more rewarding in the game currently than delving. So I have my Azurite pushed up to the initial starting 600, and I'm going, well, I've ran this first initial delve that you do. I got myself 30 Azurite from that, and I'm going to go over my process for starting up my introduction to delve for this league. So I feel like a lot of people would tell you the first thing you want to do with your Azurite is increase your sulfite capacity, but that's not what I'm going to recommend here. So my first upgrade that I'm going to get is darkness resistance, and I will show you why as we go. I'm going to go through all of this sulfite and kind of keep track of the upgrades I get as we go. For my first delve here, I could go down this way, but instead I want to get as much Azurite as possible as early as I can. So I'm going to take this route here and go for these Azurite nodes right here. I did my first delve there, and I realized that my light radius for my cart was not very high, so it was hard to kill lots of enemies at depth. At that depth, 82% light radius, I'm still minus 18 for my darkness resistance, so if I want to go off any side areas, it's going to be difficult with this darkness resistance. So I need 66 to upgrade that. That's the thing I want to upgrade next. Now, once you complete a delve node, there are lots of items that drop. I don't like to pick up wisdom scrolls and portal scrolls while I'm leveling through the game, but since there's such a high amount of them at the end of these delve nodes, this is a spot that I like to stock up on portals and wisdom scrolls. Now I'm up to 100 Azurite, and I can upgrade my darkness resistance again. And I think at this point, I'm going to upgrade my flare radius as well. So now in the next delve, I think I might start trying to push into some side areas. I'm going to go for this tier 2 node here. So in that delve, I kind of pushed off into a side area, and an enemy dropped me a divine orb. Very nice. Something I saw I'd like to point out here. The delve is kind of divided up into a grid. So here you can see kind of this box that this node is in here. So this is 2 grid spaces away from this node here. Anytime that is the case, such as right here with this node, and right here with this node, every one of those areas that is in a node that does not have one of these endpoints will have a fractured wall that you can blow up using your dynamite. Now, since our darkness resistance isn't super high yet, nor is our light radius, we don't have lots of flares or dynamite, it's a little more difficult to get those, but it'd be nice to remember where they are so we can go back for them when we get the chance. Next, we're going to go for this tier 2 sulfite node. I used 2 flares during that last run, but I only have 3 Azurite, so I'm not able to replenish them right now. Now that I've gotten that Azurite node, I'm going to upgrade my maximum flares to 4. Ooh. Well, no, I can't do that. You can hold shift and click this craft button here, and you will refill your flares to maximum. I don't have enough to get a 5th flare. I'd probably do that. Now we're going to go back to this node here and go exploring back the way we came. Now there's this area down here. Well, we got to stay close to the light along the way. But if we push down here really quickly, drop a flare, this is what we're mainly looking for. Azurite veins. That was 16 Azurite. The tier 2 Azurite node that I just went to gave me like 60 something. So 16 is a decent amount. Alright, here's another one here. Quickly run down here, throw a flare. This one had weapons. Not really that good. Now, we're still looking for the wall. I still have 4 possible areas I can go. Let's peek. Nope. That's not where the wall is. Drag the enemies out, though. Having a stone golem here is really nice to help replenish your life. That's just more weapons. Get back to the light to be safe. Ooh, there's a pure Azurite vein. That I'm going to drop a flare for. That's another 31. And there's jewelry there, but I don't think I can survive that. And I want to save the last flare for the wall. Not there. That chest said lost loot. That'll just give you an assortment of random items. Yeah, here's our wall. I'm going to drop a flare right at the door, then drop a dynamite. Get the enemies, and here's some fossils. Hidden wealth is good. Get you some currency. And we made it out safely. And it looks like it'd be close to go back this way. So that's what we're looking for. We're mainly looking for Azurite. In the Betrayal expansion a couple weeks in, they increased the amount of Azurite you get from the Azurite nodes that you find in the darkness. So the Azurite gain you get from that is pretty substantial. So now I can recraft my flares and dynamite, and now I have 48 Azurite here. I'm going to upgrade my light radius now, and we're going to go get some more Azurite. I did this Azurite node here. I still did not have enough to get that 5th flare. I want to get that 5th flare before going down here, since there's 2 level 2 Azurite nodes there. So I'm going to go up and get this Azurite node here before going, and then I'll get the wall as we go, rather than having to backtrack. After that Azurite node, I'm going to get my 5th flare now. Craft it here. And go along this node here and go through the darkness along the way. Now it is a bit easier to go along the way, as you have the cart's light radius to get back to rather than the small little chain of lights that you get. Now once you have enough flares, you can just do this every time you go. Now which way is the cart? The cart's going that way, I'm going this way. Here's a wall. Throw a flare, throw a dynamite. Since I have enough flares, I'm going to throw a flare in here as well, so I don't have to lure enemies out. This one didn't have anything too great. You can get uniques back here, you can get lots of currency, you can get fossils. The cart's going straight here, I want to go down here. Azurite. Exactly what we want. 22. Let's go down this one. More Azurite. 18 more. Which way is the cart going? That way. I'm going this way. Lost wealth. Chrome and a chaos orb. Awesome. And I'm out of flares, so if there's any more... No, that's nothing good. You can find these along the way. And sometimes you can get currency from those, but you'll get a lot more from making those short little trips into the darkness like I was just doing. When I leveled this character in Solo Self-Found, I wound up getting 15 of the 20 chaos I found while leveling the character to 85. I wasn't unable to sell things. I was just practicing for the league start. But I got 15 raw chaos just from these little dips into the darkness in the delve. So this is a very solid way to get yourself some currency early and on. Not even if you're just starting at the beginning of a league. Anytime you're starting, if you're starting a couple weeks late into the league, you can make a lot of currency just from doing the delve. And you'll probably want to do your initial bit of delving before you start into maps. I will get some capacity upgrades when I'm close to running out of sulfite, but from here on out I will just keep going down, and I will show you what I find along the way at the end. In that last delve, I went to a tier 2 azurite node. I only had like 50 azurite to begin with. I dove into 4 areas of the darkness. I found 2 pure azurite veins, 1 rich azurite vein, and then I got the tier 2 azurite node. Now I have 190 azurite here. So I can recraft my flares, and I want to upgrade my darkness resistance again. Now I have 57 left. Go towards the next tier 2 azurite node. I made it to that tier 2 azurite node, and look what it uncovered. Azurite everywhere. Now there is a fractured wall here, here, and here that I'm going to try and get as I knock out all of these azurite nodes. Hopefully I have enough sulfite to get them all. So I was able to finish all of those azurite nodes. I explored every little nook and cranny that I could. I upgraded my maximum flares to 7. I upgraded my flare radius once. And now I have 319 azurite. I think I'm going to upgrade my darkness resistance again. And next I'm going to go back up here, grab these 2 currency nodes, go down here, grab these 2 azurite nodes, probably this currency node as well, and then we'll see where we're at. So I was able to squeeze in 1 more azurite node and a weapons node here, and now I am out of sulfite. Now, let's see what we have left here. We have 398 azurite. And so now I can't delve anymore. I don't need to protect myself in the delve. Now we'll use the leftover azurite to upgrade the sulfite capacity. So now you'll be able to go into maps and then build your sulfite capacity up a lot more. And when you come back, your character is already pretty ready to just dive right in to delving, going down, exploring everything in the darkness, gathering all the currency, and let's see what we gain from this. This tab is just the currency that came from the currency node here. Here, and here. I separated that so we can see it separately. I'm going to take that out of here now. This is everything that I got from exploring along the way. So all of this currency here came from either the like 5 walls that I blew up, or finding the chests that are, I think it's the lost wealth chests that you find just in the darkness as you just jump back there with flares. I found several of these fossils along those little paths back there. These shuddering fossils all came from behind walls, along with the etheric fossil, I believe. And at the beginning of the league, fossils aren't going to be worth as much as they will be later on. So I wouldn't just jump in to try and sell these fossils. I'd store them for later. And as you keep going down, you accumulate a stock of fossils. And as you accumulate more fossils, you'll be able to sell a lot of the same type of fossil for more price, since you have many of them, than you would if you were just selling 1 or 2. So just from that initial 600 sulfite, I mean, the Divine's kind of an outlier. I would say. But we made 8 Chaos, 2 Regals, plus everything else there, along with all the fossils. I found a drill neck. Like, I got 4 uniques, only 1 unique, which was this. I'm not going to say the name. Chest armor that came from behind a wall. That was the only one that came from behind the wall. I got a couple of rares that I could probably sell. This one can have life crafted on it. And there we go. That's intro to delving, and it's insanely rewarding. As you keep going down further, the amount of azurite you will get from the azurite veins you find in the darkness increases, just like it does from the azurite nodes. But another thing to note as to why I went about this the way I did, another change that came in a patch during the Betrayal League is as you're going deeper and as you're upgrading all of these other things on for your minecart, it'll lower the cost of other things the game expects you to have at that depth that you're at. So by increasing the flare capacity, increasing the light radius, darkness resistance, all these other upgrades as we push down and gain more azurite, we therefore lowered the sulfite capacity upgrade cost as well. So I would say this is the best way to initially approach delving. Alright, this is super scuffed, but we will make this work. Having just been through the Betrayal League, we now know what rewards all of these syndicate members give, and I was looking at what layout the syndicate board would look like for the best possible rewards very early on in the league. I think a no-brainer is having Torah in research. Since most people are going to be running spells this league, it would seem the increased gym XP Torah gives is very beneficial to increase the power of your spells. Next most important, I believe, would be Rin in Intervention for the Cartography Scarabs. No one has the maps yet to run targeted divination scarabs for divination cards, and it always feels bad to run sulfite scarabs in any map that's not tier 16. We don't have those yet, so early on in the league, you want Rin in Intervention for the cartography scarabs. As far as Chimeria goes, Chimeria and Fortification gives you any orbs that you can get from Harbingers. Getting the Harbinger orbs, Horizon orbs, can be very useful in helping you get your Atlas filled out early on, as well as Ancient orbs. Ancient orbs this league are going to be able to convert unique belts into headhunters through the Nemesis mod on the map device. So that will be very powerful as well. As far as transportation goes, I believe the best in slot there early on would be Corel. Corel gives essences. Essences combined with the new fractured rare items. You'll be able to use essences on those to create some pretty powerful things. As far as other scarabs go, I think Jorgen over here and Haku over here would be your next best bets as far as early value out of the scarabs. I don't want to speak to what the value of the scarabs would be if you're going to sell them. I'm talking about the value you can get out of them by using them. Bestiary scarabs are very, very, very good to run. You can get so many red beasts out of maps, and you can convert those into uniques by killing them or put them in orbs and trade them off. You can get a lot out of Bestiary scarabs. Amber scarabs, when you tie that in with the Sextant mod, that gives you 500% increased quant off of enemies that come from strong boxes. The extra strong boxes in the map, especially tied with the cartography scarabs, makes that very useful for getting maps pushing up your Atlas. For research, adding in Verici for the white sockets is always nice. It That Fled is normally your staple for research to upgrade breachstones. However, at the very start of the league, no one has breachstones, and they nerf them into the ground. So as far as It That Fled goes, you might want to throw him over an intervention for some breach scarabs. That adds a lot of extra mobs to the map, help leveling. Another very important one would be Hillock. Hillock gives you increased quality on weapons, armor, and flasks. Early on, if you're trying to 5 or 6 link something, having him in fortification for armor or transportation for the weapons, the increased quality on the weapons or armor will increase your likelihood of 5 or 6 linking that item. Veiled items early on would be very useful, as you do not have your crafting modifiers yet, so having Aisling in the mix to get some veiled weapons, armors, or jewelry over an intervention would be pretty beneficial, I would believe. So we're going to throw her in here. Actually, I'll probably put her in fortification, because getting the armor mods, I believe, is probably a little more important. The hybrid armor and life mods are very good. On the gloves, you can get the physical conversion mods, and on helmets, you can get physical damage taken as elemental. Putting her over on intervention for jewelry, getting the increased damage jewelry mod is very powerful as well. I crafted that on a lot of jewelry later on in the league just for some extra damage. For Elrion, I would not sleep on Reliquary Scarabs. Reliquary Scarabs give you a lot of unique drops in maps without use of any magic find at all. However, you can get unique weapons, armor, and jewelry if you put him in research. I'm going to put him in the jewelry slot, as unique rings are highly valuable early on in the league for the Lorewave users. Leo, you can put in research to get the apply this currency. Although you're not going to have items early on that you really want to exalt, you can put him in fortification for some random currency, or you can put him in transportation for silver coins. I'm going to put him in transportation because I believe silver coins are very valuable early on in the league. Now for Riker here, you can get a take 1 currency over here in transportation, take 1 unique in fortification, take 1 veiled rare research, or take 1 divination card in intervention. I would put him in fortification, so you get to take 1 unique. As for the last 4, you can only have 1 more on your board here. I believe Vagan's probably the best bet. He only gives rare weapons, armor, jewelry, and jewels across there. However, Vagan is the only syndicate member that can drop an item that has the veiled mod for hits cannot be evaded. So if you're looking for that mod in particular to add to your crafting bench, you need to have Vagan in the mix somewhere. I never got that in Betrayal League because I always left Vagan out. Guff is a lot of fun. If you're about that noise, you can throw him in. Gravicius, you can get stacks of divination cards, random divination cards. You're not going to have really divination cards to swap early on, or you can just throw him in, just start gathering the divination scarabs. It's really up to you for the last one you put. Janus gives quality currency, currency shards, Parandus coins, or Parandus scarabs. I think we can just delete him. Never mind. I love you, Janus. But that's what your syndicate board would probably look like for the best amount of value early on in the league. Probably, I mean, yeah, it's up to you who your last one in here is. 3 of them will always be out of the mix. And then we all learned last league that you want to make your syndicate board look like this. So creating rivalries everywhere possible is the way to go. And until you can't see anything, because if you have 2 or more enemies in your syndicate encounter, if there's only 2 enemies left and they're rivals, you will always have the option to execute one of them for the rank up. Ranking them up gives more rewards. And so You never want to remove all rivalries, which is an option you get a lot early on, but you want to create as many rivalries as possible. And that will slowly build up throughout the opening bit of the league. Another great way to make currency early on in the league, and probably be my main source of currency gain this league because I plan to farm a lot of beasts, is the Bestiary mechanic. Once you have Einhard here, you can purchase items from him and purchase Bestiary orbs. You have to have chaos on you. It will not pull it from your stash, but you can purchase Bestiary orbs so that you can store a beast in an orb and then you can sell it to another player. You want to make sure as you're farming through the game to kill any red beasts that you find. If you hit your H key anywhere, you can open up your achievements menu where you can view your Dell of Prophecies and Bestiary stuff. Clicking your recipes here, you can see if you have one of the red beasts here. A very valuable one to find is the Ferric Ape. Assuming it's high enough level, Ferric Ape, when you kill it in the menagerie, will drop a unique belt. This is a viable source of farming a headhunter. So it's extremely rare to get to happen. You can try it yourself, but if you happen to find a red small little Ferric Ape and kill it, you can then go to your captured beasts here, type in Ferric Ape, and right here you can see it has the two mods, so that's the rare beast. So you open up your inventory, you can do this from your hideout, just on this menu, you right click the Bestiary orb and click the beast here, and now that Ferric Ape is stored in this Bestiary orb, and then you can put this in your stash and sell it. There are quite a few of these that are very valuable. Some of early on in the league, the Ferric Goatman that'll drop a unique flask is probably pretty valuable because there's lots of unique flasks that different builds are looking for. Some of these you probably would just go to the menagerie and kill yourself for a chance at something, no matter what it is. But if you might not have caught all of these yourself, but some of these can give you level 21 gems, fully linked 6-socket rare. If it's not good, you can just vendor it for a divine orb, stack of 10 random currency, level 23 quality gem. But there are some very valuable ones here. The Crasic Chimeral will create an imprint of a magic item. So if you're alt spamming an item and you get a really good base that you want to regal and annul and maybe multi-mod, you can create an imprint of that. So if you fail to annul off the right mod on it, you can restore it. Just looking in standard here, if we look on PoE Ninja, Crasic Chimeral is worth 2 exalts. I was playing earlier today and I found a red beast that was Crasic Chimeral in a tier 3 map. So if you pull that out and then sell it, that can be an insane amount of currency gain early on in the league. 2 others to look out for are the Ferric Wolf Alpha and the Ferric Lynx Alpha. Go back here. Those 2 are kind of like a more strategic annulment orb. You can add a suffix and remove a random prefix of an item with the Ferric Lynx Alpha, add a prefix and remove a random suffix with the Ferric Wolf Alpha. So say that you found a pair of boots that has life, evasion rating, and hybrid evasion rating and life on them, but it doesn't have movement speed and it has 2 resistances on it. So it has an open suffix and it has 3 prefixes, but you want to be able to craft movement speed on it. Putting this item in the Blood Altar in the Menagerie and killing a Ferric Lynx Alpha will add the 3rd suffix, remove a random prefix, allowing you to then take the boots to a crafting bench and put movement speed on them. So these are very valuable. It is also very valuable when trying to craft flasks early on in the league. If you were to just say roll the seething implicit or the seething prefix on a flask, and you want it to have immune to poison on it or immune to bleed, rather than using an augmentation orb, you can take it to the menagerie, put it in the blood altar, and then specifically craft whichever flask suffix you want. This one's of curing. Of heat gives you freeze immunity, of dousing gives you ignite immunity, grounding gives you shock immunity, staunching is your bleed immunity, curing is poison immunity, and warding is curse immunity. You can just roll these on the flask given that you have a prefix that you want, rather than spinning lots of alts that you may not have early on the league. Further on, in the higher tier maps, I believe you have to be in the higher tier maps in order to get these beasts to show up. You can get the portals to the beast dens that have the specific bestiary reward drops. If you go in those and then kill the beast inside the from these portals, that is the only way to get the ability to craft the aspect skills, which will be very rare early on in the league. And there are some players who will definitely want an aspect skill to craft on one of their items. So definitely watch out for beasts and make sure you're killing the red beasts, because they can be extremely, extremely valuable if you are able to find the right ones. Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick crash course on prophecies and how they work. Once you have Diwali and you have silver coins, you can click Seek. You can talk to Diwali and click Seek Prophecy. You can view your prophecies and click the Seek button from here to create a prophecy. As you're leveling, you want to do this around the time you start seeing 6-socket items drop on the ground, because that is the first time you can get the Jeweler's Touch prophecy. Jeweler's Touch will allow you to create a fully linked 5-socket item with a single Jeweler's Orb if you're planning on using a unique 6-linkable weapon or chest armor. Getting one of these early in the league can be very valuable, because then you don't need to worry about your fusing RNG in order to get a 5-link, or you can even get a 6-link from prophecies this way. I believe that one is called Faded Connections. So again, once you start seeing 6 sockets drop on the ground, that's when you want to start turning in your silver coins. Most people playing the game will completely ignore this system altogether and won't get any of the benefits that come from it. There's some very good prophecies to find, especially early on. One being the Wealthy Exile. You'll encounter and slay a rogue exile who wears only rare items. So that from that one enemy, he'll drop like 15 rare items, which is very, very good thing to find early on in a league, especially in a map. There are some prophecies that you are looking for in order to seal and save. One of those would be a Tempest prophecy. There are 6 Tempest prophecies: Fire from the Sky, Ice from Above, Lightning Falls, Crushing Squall, and the Undead Storm. There's another one called Vol Winds, which is different than these 5. However, these Tempest prophecies will, when you use them and it procs on a map, will give you 15% increased quantity from that map. So it is very valuable when farming divination cards, and very valuable to increase your soul fight game from Nico missions. So if you get one of these early on in the game, rather than just going into your next area where you can proc this Tempest, you'll want to spend the 2 additional silver coins to seal it. You seal it, and it creates one of these orbs that you can put in your inventory, in your stash, and you can sell these. Right now, in Standard, we look at some of these. Let's look for Fire from the Sky. This prophecy right here. For a Tempest, roughly 3 Chaos. That's in Standard. So early on in the league, people trying to push Delve or trying to farm divination cards. Here's a Crushing Squall, Ice from Above, Lightning Falls. These prophecies have a decent amount of value to them. So getting those and pulling them out can be very valuable early on. And Vol Winds is an area with a Corrupting Tempest. You can drop corrupted items from enemies that are inside the Tempests and get 6 link corrupted items and divine orbs from that. That's why this one's a lot more valuable. However, when you're seeking prophecies, you want to really try and get the 4 quest chains that exist within prophecies. The Plague Maul, the Feral Lord, Unbreathing Queen, and Unbearable Whispers. Once you complete each one of these prophecy missions, it will allow you to then spawn the next one, and you can do Unbearable Whispers 2 all the way up to 5, and then you will get a key. Once you complete all 4 of those, you can go and fight the Pale Council. It's kind of this hidden niche boss in the game that most people don't even know exists at this point. There are lots of different types of prophecies you can get there. If you go to the Path of Exile wiki, you can see the massive list of like 230 of them. However, there's only a few that you want to keep your eye out. There are Fated Unique prophecies. Fated Uniques allow you to complete a challenge while holding a certain unique item, and it will upgrade it. Most of these are pretty useless, although the upgrade unique items that come from them can be very valuable. There are a few of them that you want to keep an eye out for. One would be the Queen's Sacrifice, the King's Path, From the Void, Ancient Doom, and A Vision of Fire and Ice, which I got setting this up right here. You can see what all of them are. If you look at the wiki, it'll show you the original item and then the upgraded version of it. Or A Vision of Fire and Ice upgrades Heat Shiver to Frostferno. Frostferno gives +2 level socketed fire gems and cold gems, and the socketed gems are supported by level 30 cold to fire. Elemental Hit counts as both a fire and a cold gem, so using this helmet gives you +4 to your levels of your elemental hit. So that is the main place that this helmet is used. It is only obtainable by upgrading it through this prophecy. So even if you look in standard, A Vision of Fire and Ice, this prophecy is worth about 80 chaos right now. So early on in the league, somebody that really wants to run that build, getting that prophecy, if you are able to get that prophecy, that can be very, very valuable. If you look at UE Ninja and search prophecies, you can see over here which ones are more valuable. Twice Enchanted is really good. The Jeweler's Touch is really good. Cleanser of Sins exists in another strain of prophecies where it sends you to kill a certain rare enemy, and that will drop a unique item when slain. Cleanser of Sins, if you look at the wiki and find those, killing a rare Undying Evangelist will drop you a Tabula Rasa upon slaying. So that's if you were to get this prophecy while you're like level 50, leveling up through the game, you can go hunt down a rare Undying Evangelist, and the wiki tells you the locations of those, and you can get a Tabula Rasa. That does not happen at all. There's no possibility of it happening if you do not turn in your silver coins. However, in doing so, if you do get one of the quest chains for the keys here, they all have a number after them. There are other quest chains, but you want to make sure you leave those 4 in here. You do not seal them and pull them out. 3 of them cost 5 silver coins to remove. Plague Maul only costs 1. But you want to leave them in there because they can spawn more often, seeing as how their quest chains tied to prophecy. So once they're in there, you leave them, and then you use the 3 slots here. Another one to look for, like the Tempests here, there's Plague of Frogs and Plague of Rats. These will spawn additional enemies in a map. Depends on if it's an indoor or an outdoor map, but this is very valuable for getting map drops early on in the league. So this is another one you would want to seal, hang on to, and potentially sell to somebody utilizing this. Like right now in standard, I could probably sell these for 2 chaos each. Early on in the league, they might be more valuable, especially if you have lots of them. If you have lots of Tempests or lots of these plagues, you might be able to sell them for much higher. There are some, though, that are just really valuable to find, such as the wealthy Exile. Overflowing riches, you will slay a foe who erupts into currency. Or there are also a bunch of them that are just kind of garbage. You'll discover an area with large packs of undead monsters. This does not give you anything. There's just going to be extra monsters in there. So if while you're leveling through the game, at the beginning of a league, you just want to probably run an area, let this prophecy proc, deal with it to get it to go away. You probably don't want to spend the 2 coins early on in the league to seal this and destroy it from existence. You'll read something written long ago. This one, you can go read anything. Easy place to do this is the aqueduct here. You go read something like this note right here. Prophecy complete. Oh, I have those turned off. It'll drop you 15 scrolls of wisdom. So when you're leveling early on through the game, you probably don't want to seal and destroy those prophecies because it costs silver coins. Silver coins that could be what gets you some of the really more valuable prophecies, the ones you're looking for. Another one you really want to look for early on in the league is the where am I gonna find it? There's a prophecy called Twice Enchanted. Lets you get 2 uses of the font at the in-game labyrinth. Twice Enchanted, yeah, this one here. 2 uses of enchantment device at the end of the labyrinth. Early on in the league, no one has any hell enchants on anything, so there will be lots of people running a labyrinth, and getting these, you'll be able to sell it probably 10 to 15 chaos easily early on, and you can just get those for a single silver coin if you're lucky. So that's another way you can easily get currency early on in the league. There are several prophecies like Wind and Thunder here, and drop you a Wind Ripper if you go hunt down a specific rare enemy. There's a few of these that you want to keep an eye out for. There's one that drops a drill neck called the Last Watch here. You can get a Pledge of Hands from the Hollow Pledge. If you get one of these, saying you will kill a rare enemy, it's best to just look it up and see if it might be worth anything. But yeah, that's about as quick as a rundown on prophecies as I can give you for this one. To reiterate here, block the 4 quest chains, complete the ones that show up here, pull out Tempests, pull out Plague of Frogs, Plague of Rats, pull out there's a Master Seeks Help. You'll find Nico, Alva, Einhar, any of those you can pull out and sell if you don't want to run them yourself. Wealthy Exile, Overflowing Riches are good. Jeweler's Touch, Faded Connections, Monstrous Treasure, Bountiful Traps, those ones you can all pull out. There's sometimes you get these really rare, unique upgrades, and beyond that, that's it. One more thing I want to quickly touch on is price checking uniques. So I got this drill neck while I was delving earlier. If we look, it has a maximum roll attack speed, and it has a decent physical damage to bow attacks on it. Now, if we just want to look up a drill neck, since I'm in standard, let's see what we got here. Drill neck, 2 Vol Orbs, 3 Chaos, 3 Chaos, 3 Chaos, roughly 3, maybe 4 Chaos, right? So I feel like most people, when they're trying to price check it, something that is what they will do. They will just search the item, and it's like, okay, there's 3 to 5 Chaos. We'll throw it up for 3 Chaos, and then it'll disappear really quickly without any regard for the value of the item itself. So let's dig a little deeper. We know that it has attack speed on it, and we're going to search for a minimum of 12. So we are looking for any drill neck that has 12% attack speed. And if we do the math here, 14 plus 20 is 34. Divide that by 2 is 17. So it has 17 average physical damage to bow attacks. So When we search on the trade, we're going to look for a minimum of 17 physical damage to bow attacks. And then we're going to search. Okay, so 5 chaos. 5 chaos, 10 chaos, 13 chaos, 14, 15, 60 aux. Okay, a bunch of these are corrupted though. Ours isn't corrupted. This one has physical damage is extra lightning. Lightning damage leeches life. Chaos resistance. So let's look a little further. And let's turn corrupted off. Search again. So now you can see that 12% attack speed and decent amount of fizz damage on a drill neck is worth a lot more than 3 chaos in standard. If you scroll down, it's like there's people listing these for even much higher. So it's kind of hard to know how much it's worth. However, in standard trade, everything is kind of wishy-washy anyways. Early on in the league, though, there will be a lot more of the unique items that you're probably searching for available. So make sure you're checking any unique item you get for the rolls on it. If it has decent rolls, it is definitely worth more than the top listed item. I have found in my time playing this game that if you don't post something at the absolute minimum price, if someone wants it, they'll still buy it. So you can list something for a little bit more than the lowest price that someone is trying to sell the item for. But it goes for all unique items. Even if a terrible unique item like this limb split, it does not have much value at all to players. However, if you rolled one that has 100% increased physical damage, anybody who wants to buy a limb split off of PoE trade is going to search for a limb split and then sort by highest physical damage. So if you have highest physical damage roll on the limb split, you would probably be able to sell a unique that you would otherwise probably vendor. So if I had to quickly sum it all up, Path of Exile rewards intelligence and game knowledge. Be smart and careful with how you approach your Atlas. There are lots of tools the game provides to make progressing through the Atlas easier. If playing early in the league, rares can be a source of profit, but that will fall off once people start fossil crafting and getting Shaper Elder items. After a point, you will only want to pick up rares from higher tier maps that have an item level capable of rolling the highest tier mods. There is insane value in Delve that you can access very early if you approach it correctly. Scarabs will always hold value as they are expendable. Kill the red beasts, put them in Pokeballs, and sell them. Use your silver coins, prophecies can be very rewarding, and there are lots of them, so look them up if you need to. My plan for Synthesis League is to hold off from engaging with the new league content until I reach maps. At that point, I will dip my feet in and see what it is all about. After that, I will be more focused on pushing my delve downward and progressing my Atlas. I'm excited about the fractured items and synthesized bases, but I am also aware that having those mods on items with a higher item level will allow for crafting better weapons and gear. I am much more excited for the rewards from this league as it relates to in-game mapping than I was for Betrayal. In Betrayal, you would get the same rewards regardless of where you encountered the Syndicate. I'm very happy that Synthesis will add more value to high-end mapping. The last thing I will say is that if you're trying to make currency by playing the game, you have to play the game. It is all RNG gated, so the more you play, the more you can get out of it. Staring into your stash will not make currency appear. I hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something. Subscribe for more Path of Exile content, and thanks for watching.